Three games will be for sole possession of first place in their respective divisions. Colts at Jaguars, and our game of the week for the AFC South. Steelers at Ravens for the AFC North, and Bears at Packers for the NFC North. Plus, the Bengals and quarterback Joe Burrow are looking to keep their slim playoff hopes alive against the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into the full Week 14 slate, which culminates with a Monday Night Football matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers. Hey there, welcome everybody to the Week 14 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined once again by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If Bullock should come in, we will catch him up on what he missed. But if not, then we will hopefully have him back with us tomorrow night as we review NXT Deadline, maybe some other things. MF will let us know at the end, I'm sure. So with that being said, Week 14 of the NFL season here tonight, and as part of our previews here tonight, we're getting on playoff time, and because of that, I know something that was a big favorite of a lot of our fans last year. We're bringing it back. What's at stake? Yes, we start the What's at Stake series here tonight. Week 14 started last night on Amazon Prime Video, Thursday Night Football. Good matchup. The Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. A lot of doubts about Detroit, especially after how flat they came out on Thanksgiving. And Dallas had been playing very well up until last night. Going into last night's game, I should say, including a big win on Thanksgiving over the Kansas City Chiefs. But last night, it was the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions got their mojo back, and they picked up a huge win, knocking off the Dallas Cowboys 44-30 last night. And let's break it down as we always do. Jared Goff, 25 of 34, 309 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. David Montgomery led in rushing yards, 60 yards rushing with a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 43 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. That more than made up for that. Jamison Williams, leading receiver, 7 catches for 96 yards. The big question going into this game was, how was Amon-Ra St. Brown? Because he suffered an injury in the loss to Green Bay on Thanksgiving, but he gave it a go last night, and he had a solid game, 6 catches for 92 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs added 7 catches for 77 yards. And Isaac Tesla had the touchdown pass from Jared Goff, 2 for 20. Jack Campbell had a sack. Have yourself a night, Al-Quadin Muhammad. Not 1, not 2, but 3 sacks on the night. And Aleem McNeil had a sack as well. Total of 5 sacks for the Lions defense. DJ Reed and Derek Barnes with interceptions. And Avonte Maddox, Jack Campbell, and Aleem McNeil all had forced fumbles. And Brian Branch had a fumble recovery. So despite giving up 30 points, the Lion defense actually made some clutch plays last night. For the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 31 of 47, 376 yards, a touchdown, but he threw 2 interceptions. Javonte Williams was the leading rusher, 17 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 121 yards. Ryan Flournoy, 9 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown of his own. Defense recording only 1 sack. That was by James Houston. No turnovers or anything like that. And that was all she wrote. The Lions improved to 8-5 on the season. The Cowboys dropped to 6-1. Next week for the Detroit Lions, oh boy, they got a tough one. They got to go to Los Angeles and square off against their former quarterback, Matthew Stafford. It's Goff versus Stafford. We all remember that that trade that went down a number of years ago. Lions and Rams at SoFi next week. That's a big game next week. Whereas for the Dallas Cowboys, as of right now, it's scheduled to be a Sunday night game against the Minnesota Vikings next Sunday night. So that there's a good chance they can get back on track with that win against Minnesota. But it was all about Detroit. Detroit needed it a lot more, considering their body of work, especially last year. I mean, they needed to live up to the hype from last year after that magical season of a year ago. I mean, that gut-wrenching loss to Green Bay on Thanksgiving. They had a week to think about it, and it was dicey early. But then when once they turn on those burners and they turn it into a track meet, you cannot beat them. Most of the time, you can't beat them. And last night was an example of that. Detroit getting it done. And the rushing game, they may not have, piled up a lot of yards, but when Jahmyr Gibbs gives you 3 touchdowns despite only 43 yards rushing, that says something. And David Montgomery, even with a rushing touchdown as well. And that defense. The bad news is they gave up 30 points. But like I said, 5 sacks. They picked off Dak Prescott twice, 2 interceptions, and they had a lot of forced fumbles, at least 3 forced fumbles. So big win for Detroit. Dallas, like I said, they got Minnesota next week. I think they can get back on track there. But Detroit, though, oh boy, you got to go up. You got to go to SoFi against the Rams. Oh boy, that is I got to be honest, I don't like their chances. I don't. We'll get more into that next week. But for right now, Lions, big win. So, MF, before I give it to you, I want to take a moment. Did you see this guy's FIFA World Cup video earlier? Awesome. Awesomeness. Great job on that, MF. I mean, there was one question that I still had one question after watching that video, and that was what is the group of death when it comes to the World Cup,
Honestly, Anthony, I think the group of death, you got to go all the way to the last group. I think this was England's group. I kind of consider is the group of death. I think this time around it was more structured so that we wouldn't have a grupo de muerto or a group of death. But yeah, a lot of people talking about England, Croatia, that might be the group of death. And when you got Croatia, who's number 10 in the world, England number 4 in the world, the Black Stars of Ghana being a powerhouse in the World Cup, that's 3 teams there already that you already would yell group of death. The other group that I would look at as a possible group of death would be France, Norway, and I kind of gave you my reasons why, especially when you got Erling Haaland, who is one of the best soccer players in the world, plays for Manchester City in the EPL, the English Premier League, and then you got Kylian Mbappe representing Real Madrid from La Liga, that's in Spain. And these are the 2 big stars. So that's why I was begging the soccer gods to bring them to Gillette, because if that happens, dude, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's a shut up and take my money.
Yes, as you said earlier in your video. A very rare TXN Sports World exclusive. So if you haven't done so already, head on over to MF's channel, BraceFan95. Approaching 30 views as of right now.
Unbelievable, man. Unreal.
Last time I checked, it was 27 when I just last checked. So you're on your way to 30. So, all right. So go on and watch that from earlier. A great TXN Sports World exclusive. We'll try to have more of those in the future. But for right now, MF, we go from that football to this football.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions last night. Big win for the Lions, 44-30. Dallas, they got Minnesota coming in next week. That should be an easy one for them. But for the Lions, against Stafford and the Rams at SoFi, good luck. I'm sorry.
That's a rough one. That's a rough one. Absolutely. But look, Detroit handled their business. They had to. I think a lot of people got a little nervous, especially after what happened on Thanksgiving. Detroit kind of laid an egg. Dallas kind of felt themselves after knocking off Kansas City. Something had to give. Playoff implications, and Detroit was able to ride the ship and get it back on course. Dallas is in deep trouble now. They really need some help now. People were thinking maybe Dallas could turn it around. Maybe this would be their moment where maybe they get into the playoffs. That's not looking good now. So Detroit absolutely handled their business. Big win for them. Great performance by them. I really got nothing more to say. And Anthony, it's back to you.
All right, MF, here we go. Now we're going to get into the Sunday slate. Before we do that, Michael Bullock's not here. As you know, Bullock would always ask me, who's on bye this week? Well, this is the final time we're going to mention it this season. Our final bye week of the season. And here it is. For this week, you will not see the Carolina Panthers, the New England Patriots, the New York Giants, and the San Francisco 49ers. You will not see them. And then starting from next week, the rest of the way, no more bye weeks. It's going to be full weeks for the remaining for the final quarter of the season. All right. So with all that being said, let's dive on into the first of 8 early games. This one's over on Fox. We have the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Atlanta Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. It'll be Kevin Kugler, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Allison Williams. On the call, Seattle opening up as a 7-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors, let me see here. It favors Seattle 13-7. They met in Atlanta last year, and Seattle won that game by a score of 34-14. So Atlanta has not beaten Seattle at home in the regular season, believe it or not, since 2007. Overall, it was a playoff game. It was a divisional playoff game in January of 2013. Actually, it was a divisional playoff game in January of 2017. My mistake. That was their Super Bowl year of 16-17. So, but all right, here we go now. Seattle and Atlanta kicking off week number 14 here, and here we go. Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold is coming off his worst performance of the season in terms of total QBR at 18.3, as he and the offense struggled to handle a barrage of pressure the Vikings sent last week. The most blitz-heavy defense in the NFL, Minnesota set an extra rusher on 60% of Darnold's dropbacks, and after taking only 11 sacks over the first 11 games, he was dropped 4 times. Atlanta is second in the league in blitz rate under defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, so Darnold and company must have a better plan this week. Coach Mike McDonald said they're an aggressive unit. They play hard. Ulbrich does a really good job affecting the quarterback. Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins has run a clean operation for the most part since taking over from Michael Penix Jr., keeping the Falcons in the past 2 games with a chance to win late. But most of what Cousins has done has been underneath. Against the Jets, he was 20 of 24 on passes of under 10 yards for 215 yards and a touchdown, per NFL Next Gen stats. When it comes to downfield passes, Cousins has the lowest completion percentage, 35.7% among qualified quarterbacks. And the Seahawks just happen to be allowing a league-low 49.4 passer rating on downfield passes. Even though Falcons wide receiver Drake London did not play the last 2 games because of a knee injury, he had 100 receiving yards in 3 straight games before he was out. 4 straight would tie the longest streak by a player this season. Seahawks wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. And what's at stake? Well, simple. The Seahawks have an 89% chance to make the playoffs, which increases to 95% with a win and drops to 78% with a loss. The FPI goes with Seattle, 61%, Going with Seattle. I'm going with Seattle as well. I'm going to go 30-17 Seattle over Atlanta. So not much more for me to add. So MF, our first early game of week number 14, Seattle and Atlanta. I got Seattle winning 30-17. What says you? All right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So it's what, Atlanta, Seattle?
Seattle at Atlanta. Yeah.
Seattle at Atlanta. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna make this very simple and very easy. I feel like Seattle is definitely the better team. I think defensively they could just overwhelm the offense unless Bijan Robinson gets going, but I don't see Bijan doing much in this game here. I think Seattle's defense is just going to overwhelm the entire night, and this should be an easy victory for the Seattle Seahawks. So I got the Seahawks winning, Anthony, next game.
It's one of our big ones. Now, as you know, both conferences have three monster playoff games, and that's why we decided not to do any cross flex. Correct on that?
That is correct.
So, despite that, we only have 6 games on our side of the ledger, but this is one of the good ones. This game came in as our number 3 game of the week. First place in the sole possession of first place in the AFC North to the winner of this one, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will be in Baltimore. Baltimore opening up as a 6-point favorite. Believe it or not, this is the first meeting of the season between these two. I believe the second meeting is scheduled for the final week, from what I'm hearing. So, Pittsburgh leads the regular season all-time series 35-25. Both teams split last year, but both teams won at home. So Baltimore won 34-17 in Baltimore. Pittsburgh's last win in Baltimore was the year before, 2023. That was a 17-10 final. Any other week, MF, this would be our game of the week. But we got 2 other games that record-wise are just a bit better. But Pittsburgh and Baltimore, both teams at 6-6. And Pittsburgh getting smacked around by Buffalo last week, whereas the Ravens, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. This is for first place in the AFC North. I'll get the other information in just a moment, but first place in the North, MF, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, number 3 game of the week on our end. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. Look, Pittsburgh really had a bad night. They had a horrific performance against the Buffalo Bills, and it looks like Buffalo may have exposed them. And the thing is, they ran it so far and so badly on Pittsburgh. That was an absolute masterclass by Buffalo. And the thing is, when you have a run attack, and as potent, as powerful as the Ravens do, with Derrick Henry, with the likelihood that Lamar Jackson can run the football at any point, it kind of gives you the feeling like this could go really bad for the Steelers. And I truly believe it will. At M&T Bank, if this was at Acrisure Field, it would be a little more different. But because it's at M&T Bank, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens to win the game and win this pretty comfortably. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
And Baltimore coming off of getting smashed at home by the Bengals on Thanksgiving. So this is a must win for them too. So, but anyways, oh man, okay, here we go. During minicamp, Steelers defensive coordinator Terrell Austin was blunt. We had a Baltimore problem last year. They ran the ball down our throats, and we have to fix that if we want to contend in this division. The Steelers will see whether they've truly fixed those issues as they face the Ravens for the first time since the team rushed for 299 yards in the wild card blowout. They managed to hold Jonathan Taylor to 45 yards on 14 carries a month ago. but the Steelers rank 17th, allowing almost 118 rushing yards a game. Ravens, meanwhile, rank 5th in rushing offense, averaging about 137 yards a game. The Ravens have increased their ball security drills in practice. Baltimore, which turned the ball over 5 times in its last game, is going against a Pittsburgh defense that ranks 2nd in the NFL with 22 takeaways. Under coach Jim Harbaugh, the Ravens are 5-13. Or should I say John Harbaugh? The Ravens are 5-13 when they commit multiple turnovers against the Steelers. Ball security has to be on your mind, at the forefront of your mind, at all times when you're a ball handler, Harbaugh said. That's something that we emphasize, we give high regard to, and we talk about and push demand every single day. The Ravens started the season with a 1-5 record while allowing 32 points a game, last in the NFL through week 6. Since then, they are 5-1, allowing 16.5 points a game, best in the NFL since week 7. What's at stake? It's simple. Winner will be first place in the AFC North. According to ESPN Analytics, the Ravens enter with a 60% chance to win the division, which would increase to 75% with a win, or drop all the way down to 30% with a loss. Steelers enter with a 33% chance to win the division, which would increase to 63% with a win, but drop down to all the way down to 18% with a loss. So that's how huge this game is. The FPI goes with Baltimore here, 66% going with the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win it as well. I'm going to say 24-20, Baltimore holds off Pittsburgh in what should be a very exciting game. Next up, we go to the Fox side. Fox got a cross flex on this one. This game was originally scheduled to be a 4:25 game and pretty much be America's game of the week. But it got pushed back to 1 o'clock, and another game got moved up to 4:25, and for very good reason, and we'll explain that when we get to it. But here it is. It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against my Buffalo Bills. Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. This game is on Fox. Joe Davis, Greg Olsen, Pam Oliver, they will have the call. And Buffalo opening up as a 6-point favorite. And the series history between these two, regular season-wise, Buffalo leads at 17-14. Last meeting was 2 years ago on a Sunday night in Cincinnati, Cincinnati winning it 24-18. Last meeting in Buffalo, of course, was the AFC divisional playoff, January of 2023, Cincinnati winning that one 27-10. Last regular season meeting was 2019, Buffalo winning that one 21-17. Cincinnati's last win in Buffalo in the regular season, 2015, 34-21. So Cincinnati and Buffalo up next, and here's the scoop on that one. All right. Bengals defensive coordinator Al Golden knows getting Buffalo's offense off the field will be crucial. The Bills lead the league in time of possession, averaging 33 minutes and 10 seconds and plays per drive. Golden said being effective on first and second downs will keep Buffalo from being in good spots on third downs to extend drives. And Golden said that's where Josh Allen does a lot of things to beat you: arm, leg, scheme. Turnovers have been a weakness for the Bills' offense of late, with multiple ones in each of the last 4 games. Josh Allen has 4 straight games with an interception, tied for the second longest streak of his career. The longest streak of his career was an interception in 9 straight games in 2023. Buffalo cannot keep repeating that formula and being saved by its defense or the other team not taking advantage. Josh Allen said, we got to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to limit turnovers and keep the ball on our side and in time of possession, and making sure we score when we have those opportunities. Bengals running back Chase Brown has had a franchise record 6 straight games with 100-plus scrimmage yards. The only players with a longer streak in the last 5 seasons, the San Francisco 49ers' Christian McCaffrey, 8 in 2023 and 7 this season, and the Indianapolis Colts' Jonathan Taylor with 7 in 2021. What's at stake? Cincinnati and Buffalo are facing different battles in the playoff push. The Bills have a 90% chance to make the playoffs, according to ESPN Analytics. With a win, that goes up to 96%. A loss would drop it down to 79%. Meanwhile, the Bengals have only a 7% chance to make the playoffs. Also, according to ESPN Analytics, a win would double that to 14%, but a loss drops them all the way down to 3%. The FPI goes with Buffalo here, 63% going with the Buffalo Bills, and I got to go with the Buffalo Bills as well. I've had a hard time going back. I've been going back and forth with the score here, but I think it'll be close going into the fourth quarter. But I could see Buffalo putting it away with a late score and get a somewhat comfortable win. I'm not saying it's going to be full on comfortable. I'm going to say it's somewhat comfortable. I'm going to go 31-20. I'm going with Buffalo to win, and something else that might tilt the scales in Buffalo's favor. I checked the weather reports, and we're in for a snow game. This is going to be a snow game. 70% chance of snow, snow flurries, snow showers, and 9 times out of 10, that usually favors Buffalo. So I'm going with Buffalo to win 31-20, coming off that very impressive performance in Pittsburgh. First half, black, but the second half was one of the best halves I've seen Buffalo play all season long. And the defense with some timely plays, but the running game, setting a new visitor record in Pittsburgh. I mean, between James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson, more of that, please. More of that, please. So 31-20, Buffalo wins. If Buffalo wins, of course, they'll pull to within 2 games of New England in the AFC East before that huge showdown with New England in Foxborough next week. Oh, by the way, that for all intents and purposes, that could be our game next week. You never know. So, but there are 2 others that we're keeping an eye on for sure. So, but anyways, that is the front runner right now. So we'll see. So not much more to say. Buffalo wins. I'm going to go 31-20. So MF. Cincinnati and Buffalo. It's definitely a must win for Cincinnati. Buffalo also needs it if they want to have any chance of winning the division. A win here pulls them to within 2 before they go to Foxborough next week.
No doubt about it. Total agreement with everything you said. This is a must win. I do believe that Buffalo should win this game, and I think they will get the job done. But going beyond that, who knows? But I'm with you. I got Buffalo winning this game. It's going to be a tough one, but if that running game is as good as it was against Pittsburgh, and again, no Trey Hendrickson for them, so that's a big loss. And I kind of feel like Buffalo should win this game. So Buffalo wins. Anthony, it's yours.
All righty. Let's see who's up next. Well, according to the weather reports, this next game also has the potential for a snow game. A renewal of an old AFC Central Division rivalry. Another cross flex, if you will, on Fox. As it will be and we could pretty much call this one of the Zonk games of the year, if not the Zonk game of the year. But thankfully, it's on their side and not ours. It's the Tennessee Titans squaring off against the Cleveland Browns. Huntington Bank Stadium in Cleveland. And on the call on Fox for them, it will be Chris Myers, Mark Schlereth, and Jen Hale. And the spread favors Cleveland. Cleveland opening up as a 4-point favorite. Series history, Cleveland leads the regular season series 37-31. Cleveland's also won the last 2 meetings in a row against Cleveland's won the last 2 against Tennessee, including a 27-3 beatdown in Cleveland 2 years ago. And then a wild 41-35 game in Nashville in 2020 that, believe it or not, MF, we actually had that game because they were both good at that time, believe it or not. So crazy game we saw that day. But Tennessee's last win in Cleveland and overall was 2019, week 1, when they smashed Cleveland 43-13. So Last time I checked, I think I came across a 30% chance of snow in Cleveland. So we'll see how that goes. We know Cleveland's been known for wild weather and crazy weather over the last few weeks. So not much more to add. So MF, Tennessee and Cleveland. Thankfully, it's not on our network. It's on the other side. It's on Fox. You can make an argument. This might be the zonk game of the year. Both teams are so bad.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be an interesting matchup, no doubt about it. We'll see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, I want to go Cleveland. I'm not completely sold on it, but I do believe Cleveland's going to win the game, and it's going to be close. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, give me Cleveland to win it. Nothing more to say. And yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. All of the attention is on the quarterback matchup between rookies Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But the star of this game is defensive end Myles Garrett and his 19 sacks. Titans offensive tackle Peter Skoronski is well aware of Garrett's unique ability. He's one of one, and you have to game plan for a guy like that because he's an absolute game record that has an insane amount of sacks and will break that record at some point. Garrett is 4 sacks away from breaking the NFL single-season sack record of 22 and a half, set by Michael Strahan in 2001. It's not inconceivable that he could reach the mark against the Titans and Ward, who has taken the most sacks this season with 48. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz said if Myles is able to cross that bridge, that says an awful lot, particularly with a lot of the players that have played in the past. Browns running back Quinshon Judkins has 6 rushing touchdowns in the team's 3 wins. In the 8 losses he has played in, he has only 1. His 7 rushing touchdowns are tied with Giants quarterback Jackson Dart for most among rookies this season, and are most by a Browns rookie since Nick Chubb had 8 in 2018. Nothing at stake as far as playoffs are concerned. Titans are eliminated from playoff contention, and the Browns are at the bottom of the AFC North. So this game is all about draft picks. Titans have a 48% chance at the number 1 pick, which goes up to 67% with a loss, but down to 28% with a win. The Browns currently have only an 8% chance for the top pick. FPI, slight FPI for Cleveland. It's only 52% going with Cleveland, but I'm going with Cleveland to win this one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I'm going to say 17-14. Give me Cleveland to defeat Tennessee. All right. Moving on. Oh, here we go. Here we go, MF. It's our game of the week. This is the big one. For sole possession of first place in the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts squaring off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everbank Field in Jacksonville. It'll be Iron Eagle, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn. They will be on the call for this one. And this is also their first meeting of the season as well. And the spread favors Indianapolis, but it's only by 1.5. That's it. It's a 1.5 point spread for the Colts. And hold on 1 second here. Okay. Series history between these two when it comes to the Colts and the Jags. It favors, I believe it favors Indianapolis. Indianapolis leads it. It's only 28-20. Both teams split last year, both teams winning at home. So Jacksonville won in Jacksonville last year, 37-34. Here's an interesting note here. The Indianapolis Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. And they smashed them 44-17. But since then, it has been all Jacksonville. And that also includes a London game in 2016 as well. So here we go. Our game of the week for first place, sole possession of first place in the AFC South. Indianapolis has not won in Jacksonville since 2014, a remarkable stretch of losses that includes 8 different starting quarterbacks, good teams and bad teams. And now the Colts are looking to break the streak at a time when they have so much at stake. Indianapolis had a multi-game lead in the AFC South for most of the season, but that lead has been erased. The Colts are now tied with Jacksonville, and the winner of this game will have sole possession of first place. Said Colts head coach Shane Steichen, the urgency, the energy has got to be great this week. It's the league's leading rusher, Jonathan Taylor, versus the league's top-ranked run defense, allowing only 82 yards a game. Taylor has destroyed the Jaguars in Indianapolis, 546 yards and 4 touchdowns rushing in 3 games. But he has struggled against them in Jacksonville. Only 172 yards, no touchdowns in 4 games. Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli said limiting Taylor again is obviously the top priority. That's definitely the challenge this week because he is a great back and they've got a great front. This will be the 49th meeting between the Colts and Jaguars and only the 3rd time both teams have entered at least 4 games over 500. The other 2 instances came in Indianapolis in 2005 and 2007, Colts winning both of those games with Hall of Famer Peyton Manning at quarterback. What's at stake? Well, obviously, we all know first place, sole possession of first in the South to the winner. And the winner will also have at least a 60% chance to win the division, while the loser will drop under 20%. The FPI goes with the Colts, 56%. Not a solid FPI for Indy. It's only 56%, but they're giving it to Indianapolis. But if I'm going to be honest with you, because of the game being in Jacksonville, I got to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game. If it was in Indy, I'd go with Indy. But with the game being in Jacksonville, I got to go with the Jags. I'm going to say 27-24, Jacksonville defeats Indianapolis and takes control of the AFC South. Who would have thunk it after how hot the Colts started? But boy, oh boy, have they cooled off since then. They pretty much haven't been the same since the Kansas City game that MF and I did a few weeks ago. I think that's when their struggle started. So not much more. MF, our game of the week, Indy and Jacksonville, sole possession of first in the South to the winner. Nothing more to say. The Phil Simms to my Jim Nance. Do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, I know this is a big one. This is one of those games that could define where everything's gonna go towards the end of the season. Indy was undoubtedly the best team in the NFL. A lot of people felt like, oh my God, is anybody going to stop Indy? And all of a sudden, they've fallen apart. I don't know what happened. I don't know what led to the downfall. But I will say this now. If they don't turn it around soon, this could end up being a disaster for the Indianapolis Colts, man. Jacksonville has caught the fire now, and now they're ahead. There's no doubt about it. Jacksonville's got the hot hand. Even though there's no Travis Hunter, give me the Colts. Give me the Jaguars to win this one. So, Anthony, I agree. Jacksonville wins, and it's all yours.
Okay, and you lead off on our next game, MF. I think we have 3 early games left. Next up, it's this one's on Fox, and it will feature the Washington Commanders squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings, U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Adam Amin, Drew Brees, and Christina Pink, they will be in Minnesota for this one. And Washington opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors. I went a little over. Okay, Minnesota. Minnesota leads the all-time regular season series 13-10. Minnesota has also won the last 3 meetings in a row with these two teams. Last one was 2022 in Washington, Minnesota winning 20-17. Last meeting in Minnesota was 2019. Minnesota won that 19-9. Washington has not won in Minnesota since a Sunday night game in December of 2007 at the old Metrodome, 32-21. So not much more here. MF, you started off here. Washington and Minnesota. Minnesota, oh man, what a mess. An absolute dud of a game in Seattle last week where they got smacked around by Seattle. And whereas the Washington Commanders, I'm going to be honest with you, MF. Washington, for my money, Washington has been the most disappointing team in the NFC. I mean, here's a team that went all the way to the NFC Championship game
Yep.
a season ago, and then absolutely got smashed and blown away by Philadelphia. And Philly never looked back after that, of course. And
Yep.
But Washington, oh my goodness. I mean, a lot of that is because of Jaden Daniels, but the good news is Jaden Daniels will be back. And man, oh man, last Sunday night, what a game against Denver. They almost beat Denver, though, last week. Almost.
Yeah, they almost did. Certain things, certain moments in the game went down. Look, you can't really say much about it. I get why a lot of people want to see Washington win because they feel like with Daniels back, the offense should be back to normal, everything else. But defensively, are they going to be better? I don't know, Anthony. I kind of feel like, it's a tough game. It's tough for me to call too, I don't see Washington win this one. I just don't. I don't know why. I feel like, they came close, but I think that's the closest they're going to get. Like you said, the injuries are piling up for the Commanders. It just doesn't give me that much hope to root for them, Anthony. Sorry to say. I don't think Washington wins, so it's yours.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's fair enough. Okay. Sunday will provide another test for Washington's offensive line, which has continued to improve thanks in part to rookie right tackle Josh Connerly Jr.'s growth. Since the Commanders' Week 6 bye, the Vikings have blitzed on 58% of opposing quarterback dropbacks. Linebacker Eric Wilson's pressure rate of 23.5% is the highest of any player who has rushed a quarterback at least 100 times this season. But Washington did a good job versus Denver's pass rush, allowing only 2 sacks to the NFL's best unit. The Commanders have allowed only 5 sacks over the last 3 games combined, led by left tackle Laramie Tunsil. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury said he's been phenomenal. It's hard to find a left tackle that's played better. Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell this week imposed a new set of priorities on quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who will return to the lineup after a concussion kept him out last week. Instead of focusing on mechanics and footwork, O'Connell wants him to concentrate on decision-making. He said, I want him to have a clear head and a clear mind to just go play. Those decisions don't just include where to throw the ball, but also when to run and how to protect himself when he does. He can impact the game athletically, but it can't come at a cost of not having him in there. Commanders quarterback Marcus Mariota has had 4 straight starts with at least 200 passing yards and a passing touchdown, the second longest streak of his career after a 7-game run in 2016. What's at stake? Well, as of Week 13, both teams are projected to pick in the top 10 in the 2026 NFL Draft. Oh boy, listen to this FPIMF. They give it to Washington, but it's only 50.4%. It's basically a pick 'em. And you make a compelling argument about Minnesota, you do. But I have to respectfully disagree with you on this one, MF. I am going to go with Washington to win this game. I'm going to go 23-16. Washington defeats Minnesota, especially after how great they looked against Denver, albeit in a losing effort. But they nearly upset them. So I got to give a slight edge to Washington here. So not much more to say there. So we move on to our next matchup, which is over on our side of the ledger. I believe this came in right around that. I think this came in at number 4. I want to say it's our number 4 game of the week. AFC East divisional matchup. The Miami Dolphins squaring off against the New York Jets. MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. And it'll be Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Aditi Kinkabuela. They will have the call. Miami opening up as a 3-point favorite. And Miami leads the regular season series. Now, this is the second meeting. They met on Monday Night Football at the end of September. And the Miami Dolphins won that game 27-21 in Miami. So add that to the record. It's now regular season wise 61-57 with a tie in favor of the Miami Dolphins. And both teams split last year, both teams winning at home. So the Jets won in New York last year 32-20. Miami's last win in New York 2023. I believe that was the inaugural Black Friday game on Amazon Prime Video. Miami winning that one going away 34-13.
Yes, it was, Anthony.
I thought so. Okay. So I'm just checking to make sure. Did I lead off on the last one or did you lead off, MF?
No, you left off on the last one.
Oh, okay. So this one goes to you then. Okay.
Yeah.
Only fitting. Here you go. It's your team. The Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. With a win, according to this, it would be a second season sweep in the last 3 years. You just swept these guys 2 years ago. So can Miami do it again? I mean, Miami's starting to catch some fire here, MF. Nice win over New Orleans. Now you got to go to the Meadowlands against the Jets. So can the Dolphins keep it going?
Absolutely. And the reason why I think that they can is because they actually found a philosophy. They're running the football a lot more. Devon Achane has now gone over 1,000 yards for the season. And in the last 3 games, he has rushed for over 400 yards. That is remarkable. And to think, that puts a lot of less pressure on Tua Tagovailoa. That puts a lot less pressure on the receiving core. And it also is more better because if you notice, the run attack has been more of an explosive unit than anything else. If you keep Achane going, if you get Ollie Gordon going, if you get Jalen Wright going, and if they keep running the football, it looks like they found something here that a lot of teams it's like they figured it out. So I think Miami has a good shot at this. The one thing is that the biggest Achilles heel that the Dolphins normally has is that their run attacks is always a little bit of a trouble. But at the end of the day, I do believe the Miami Dolphins will win this game. Yes, I do know the history of Miami not doing well under 40-degree weather. That's always a problem. We know that. But at the end, I do believe the Miami Dolphins should win this game because they're not going to have to trust on them passing the football. I think it's going to be more of them utilizing the run attack, and that's been their go-to lately. They'll go back and use that, and that will be why they win this game on Sunday. Give me the Miami Dolphins to win it. Anthony, it is yours.
We actually made a mistake, MF. I should have let off on this one.
All right. That's all right.
We'll have you lead off on the next one just to round it out, and then I'll start the late games. So, all right. I do apologize for that long day on my end. But anyways, Dolphins running back Devon Achane is on pace to set a new career high in touches for the 3rd straight season. His ability to handle a heavy workload was criticized entering the 2023 draft, but he did not miss a game last season and also hasn't missed one this season. Coach Mike McDaniel said he's not worried about Achane's durability because he can shield himself from taking hits head on. So don't expect the Achane train to slow down anytime soon. A big topic of conversation around the Jets this week is how to create turnovers. They only have 2 takeaways, the fewest through 12 games in NFL history. Coach Aaron Glenn said every other team has at least 7, and Coach Aaron Glenn said the interception drought is puzzling. Now here come the Dolphins, who have 18 giveaways, 7th most, and that includes 14 interceptions by quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. And MF, you mentioned it. The Dolphins have lost 7 straight games, including playoffs, in sub-45-degree temperatures at kickoff, with their last win in those conditions on December 19th, 2019 at New England. that infamous win in New England that totally turned the AFC playoff picture upside down and then some. The Dolphins have less than a 1% chance to make the playoffs. The Jets would be eliminated from playoff contention with either a loss or wins by both Buffalo and Jacksonville. The FPI gives it to Miami. It's not overwhelming. It's only 54%, but they're going with the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game as well. I'm going to go 27-24. Miami wins at the Jets. So we have one game left on our end, and I do believe this is our Zonk game of the week. Cross-flexed over to us, even though it's under our name. But nonetheless, NFC South division matchup. It's the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. And this is the second meeting. They met at the end of October in New Orleans. Tampa Bay won that one 23-3. So we'll reflect that in the totals in just a moment. New Orleans and Tampa Bay are Zonk game of the week. And on that call, it will be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. And the spread favors Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. And including the Tampa Bay win, they cut New Orleans' lead down to 40-27. Last year in Tampa Bay winning it 27-19. New Orleans' last win in Tampa was the year before, 2023. That was a 23-13 final. So MF, to balance it out, I'm going to have you lead off once again because I should have led off on the last one. So New Orleans, Tampa Bay, our Zonk game of the week, and New Orleans is a straight-up mess, whereas Tampa Bay finally got off the schneid with that big win over Arizona last week.
Absolutely, but you also give it up for New Orleans. It looks like they found the quarterback of the future. They do have Vidal, who's a dangerous wide receiver. Oh my God, he had a game in itself. So he made life a little miserable for the Miami Dolphins. So yes, it could be very interesting. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that when it's all said and done, I do believe Tampa should win this. And I really got nothing more to say. So give me Tampa Bay to win it. And yeah, it's yours, Anthony.
You talked about it. Devon Vale of the Saints, wide receiver Devon Vale, had his breakout game last week, catching 8 passes for 93 yards and a touchdown. He would like to continue growing his role in the passing game with running back Alvin Kamara with a knee injury, potentially sidelined again. Vale said after the game, "I'm a very competitive guy, and at the end of the day, I want to win games. I'm grateful today I had a career day for myself, but at the end of the day, I want to win games. And so I see those stats as a team effort rather than individual effort." Tampa Bay might be just a half game ahead of the surging Carolina Panthers in the NFC South, but Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield has the blinders on and is focused on what's right in front of him, the Saints. When asked Wednesday about his former offensive coordinator Dave Canales, the current coach of the Panthers, Mayfield said, "We've got the Saints this week. Dave can do what he wants." Mayfield was then asked about facing the Panthers twice. "Yeah, not yet. We play the Saints this week." Saints wide receiver Chris Olave's 115 targets this season, third most behind only the Bengals' Jamar Chase at 132 and the Arizona Cardinals' Trey McBride at 118. The Buccaneers have a half-game lead over Carolina for first place in the NFC South. They also have the second easiest remaining strength of schedule, ahead of only the New Orleans Saints. Overwhelming FPI for Tampa Bay, 74% going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this one as well. I'm going to go 28-14. Tampa Bay defeats New Orleans. And that rounds out our early games. We got the late games now. We have only 3 of them. We have one 405 game on our end and then 2 425 games on Fox, including the game of the week, even bigger than our game of the week. So Boy, how I wish we could have had this one, but it is what it is. But let's talk about the first. Let's talk about the 405 game on CBS. This is our number 5 game of the week. This just missed being the Zonk game of the week, as it will be an AFC South, or I should say an AFC West matchup, with the Denver Broncos squaring off against the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Andrew Catalon, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, and AJ Ross. Second meeting of the season. They met last month in Denver, and Denver escaped, winning only 10-7 over the Raiders. And the spread favors Denver. Denver opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. And when you include the Denver win from last month in Denver, it cuts the Raiders' lead regular season-wise down to 72-56 with 2 ties. 3 straight wins now for Denver. Denver swept the series last year. Denver winning in Las Vegas last year, 29-19. Raiders last beat them the year before at home, 27-14. So here we go. Broncos and the Raiders to kick off the late window. Okay. With 1 sack in this game, the Broncos will reach 52, the same number of sacks the 2015 defense had in the entire regular season. Granted, the 2015 defense cemented its legacy with a ferocious postseason run that ended with a Super Bowl 50 victory. But this season's defense is still on pace to at least tie the NFL single-season sack record of 72, and the Raiders have allowed the second highest sack total in the league, 46, or 3.8 a game. Raiders tight end Brock Bowers had 4 catches for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, but he was targeted only 4 times, tied for the second lowest in a game of his career. Coach Pete Carroll said the Raiders intended to give Bowers at least 10 targets, but because of the Chargers' ability to pressure quarterback Geno Smith, that did not work out. In the Raiders' previous matchup against Denver, Bowers was held to 1 catch for 31 yards and 3 targets. With cornerback Pat Surtain II back in the lineup, it's expected that he will match up against Bowers, possibly making it a challenge for the all-pro tight end to get his fair share of targets. In Week 12 last season, Surtain lined up against Bowers on 15 snaps and held him to only 1 catch for 9 yards on 4 targets. Geno Smith has a total QBR of just about 31, which ranks 31st among 31 qualifying passers. He's on pace to have the lowest total QBR by a Raiders quarterback since Jamarcus Russell in 2008. He had a QBR of 29. The Broncos enter with an 86% chance to win the AFC West, which increases to 91% with a win and would drop to 74% with a loss. Another good FPI here. Denver favored. The FPI gives it to Denver 69%, going with Denver. I'm going with Denver as well. I'm going to go 26-16. Denver takes care of Las Vegas. So not much more to say. MF, Denver and Vegas, our number 5 game of the week to kick off the late games. Denver looking to keep pace with New England for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. I'm with you. I feel like Denver is going to win this game. They've been really good, and I truly believe Denver should win this one. And there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, you lead off on our next the first of the 2 425 games on Fox. Theme of the week is divisional matchups. You could say this is a little precursor to the final week, week 18, where every game is a divisional game. But we have another one here. NFC West divisional matchup. We got the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals. State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And on the call for Fox will be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Megan O'Leary. And Los Angeles opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. First meeting of the season between these two, believe it or not. Excuse me. The Rams. Rams lead the regular season series 49-41 with 2 ties. Both teams split last year. Both teams winning at home. So Arizona won at home last year smashed the Rams 41-10. The Rams last win in Arizona the year before, and they smashed them 37-14. So not much more to say. MF. For Arizona, they decided to shut down Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's season is done. They're shutting him down. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett the rest of the way. The Rams, however, oh boy, if there was ever a time for them to have a get-right game, this is it after getting embarrassed by Carolina last week.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I was stunned that they lost that game. I could not believe that's how it played out. But look, it's gonna be very interesting to see, and we'll see how it plays out. But look, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how it goes out and everything that played out. Yeah, we'll see what's going on, and I got to go with the Rams. I think it's a comeback. Nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it is all yours.
Okay. The Cardinals are 0-8 against teams that entered their games with a winning record, which is the most such losses in the NFL according to ESPN research. But Rams coach Sean McVay said Arizona poses a lot of issues on both sides of the football. I think if you look at the record, you're kidding yourself. Because this is a team that really, outside of the Seattle and the San Francisco game, every one of those games they've been in, and it's been right down to the wire in one possession games. Arizona's offense is entering with one of the worst fourth down rates, but will face a Ram defense that's middle of the pack and stopping those plays. Arizona is ranked 30th in fourth down conversions, 39%, while the Rams defense is ranked 13th with a stop rate of 54%. Cardinals quarterback Jacoby Brissett said Arizona is not far from being able to convert more. I think it's playing a little bit harder and cleaning up a few minor details. We got the look that we wanted for the flip play, and it just didn't strain enough. I think the week before, I just didn't make the throw. It's just minor little things in those key clutch situations that you want to be able to make. Rams running back Kyren Williams is 132 rushing yards shy of becoming the first Rams player with 1,000 rushing yards in 3 straight seasons since Steven Jackson, who had 8 straight from 2005 to 2012. The Rams have the highest chance at 30% to earn the number 1 seed in the NFC, even though for right now, the Chicago Bears currently hold that spot. Solid FPI for the Rams, 66% going with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams, and I think the Rams are going to have one hell of a get-right game here. I think they're going to win this one comfortably. 35-17, give me the Rams all over Arizona. And now we move on to the game of the week. America's game of the week. And it's the game of the week as well. NFC North, the greatest rivalry in NFL history. For the first time, and I can't remember how long, this is the most meaningful game these two teams have played in quite some time. The Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Looking at about 20-degree temperatures last time I checked going into this. Frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, America's game of the week. You know who's working it. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. Green Bay opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. First meeting of the season between these two great rivals. Green Bay leads the regular season series 107-95 with 6 ties. Both teams split last year, but both teams won on the road. So Chicago won in Green Bay last year, 24-22. Green Bay's last home win was 2023. 17-9 was the final there. That was on a Sunday night, if I recall. Or I might be thinking about the year before, but regardless, it was a Green Bay win in 23. So this is it. Here we go, game of the week. Bears coach Ben Johnson did not mince words when he said the Bears are winning games in spite of our passing game, not because of it. But he clarified that he is not dissatisfied with the play of quarterback Caleb Williams. The quarterback was off target on 27% of his passes on Black Friday against Philadelphia, which Johnson attributed to factors such as the wind, ball placement, and route depth, and had a 47% completion rate. While Williams' accuracy is not where it needs to be, Johnson doesn't seem too worried. Johnson said, I know what the stats say. Throw those out of the window. He's doing a really good job managing the ball game. That's step number one for the quarterback, and so he's going to continue to get better. The way the Bears ran the football last week caught the Packers' attention. And the problem for Green Bay is it lost one of its best run defenders, defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt, for the season to an ankle injury. Coach Matt LaFleur said certainly he's a guy that's going to be pretty tough to replace, given that they traded defensive tackle Kenny Clark to Dallas as part of the trade for Micah Parsons. The Packers are down to their numbers 3 and 4 tackles from training camp in Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks. Williams has been sacked only 19 times this season, an average of 1.6 a game, after being sacked 68 times in 2024, an average of 4 a game. These teams will play each other again in 2 weeks in Chicago on December 20th on a Saturday night. With a win, the Bears would have a 64% chance to win the NFC North, but that would fall down all the way to 22% with a loss. For Green Bay, a win, and their chances of winning the NFC North would be 71%. A 71% chance for Green Bay to win the North with a victory. A loss drops them all the way down to 27%. So needless to say, this is a must-win for both teams if they want to win the division. But the FPI loves Green Bay here. 69% going with the Green Bay Packers. The game's at Lambeau, the frozen tundra. As much as I've loved what I've seen from Chicago, especially after what MF and I saw last week against Philly on Black Friday, I got to give a slight edge to Green Bay, though.
Yeah.
I got to go with Green Bay. In a couple weeks, maybe I go the other way. But for right now, I got to go with Green Bay on this one. 27-20. Gimme Green Bay to defeat Chicago. Would I be surprised if Chicago stole this? No, certainly not. They're that good. MF and I can tell you firsthand how good they are. We saw them last week, so well, we'll see. 27-20, gimme Green Bay to defeat Chicago in the game of the week. MF, you heard all the schematics about it. Needless to say, whoever wins this game, it could be well significant as to who's going to win the NFC North.
Absolutely. This is a significant game, no doubt about it. You alluded to it. Give me the Green Bay Packers at home. Like you said, if this was Chicago, this is probably a little different conversation here. But Green Bay wins. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
And I forgot to mention, this was the game that was switched with Cincinnati and Buffalo. Cincinnati and Buffalo was supposed to be in this spot. Chicago and Green Bay was in the one. But because of how great both of these teams are, they swapped them. So this got the 425 spot, and rightfully so. This game is most definitely worthy of the moniker America's Game of the Week. All right. 2 games left. We got the primetime games, and they're both good ones. And they're both basically the number 2 games of the week on both sides. Starting with our side, 8:20 Sunday Night Football on NBC, our number 2 game of the week. The Houston Texans squaring off against the Kansas City Chiefs, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. Kansas City opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two, regular season wise, it favors Kansas City 8-5. And including playoffs, the Chiefs have won 5 straight meetings with Houston. Last year in Kansas City won 27-19. Houston has not beaten Kansas City overall and in Kansas City since 2019. 31-24, the final there. Not much more to say. MF, it's Houston, it's Kansas City. Houston has been on one hell of a roll as of late. That defense has been lights out. Huge win, stealing one in Indianapolis last week. Kansas City coming off a gut-wrenching loss to Dallas on Thanksgiving. Needless to say, when it comes to Kansas City, if this isn't a must-win game, I'd like to know what is.
Yeah, and it's basically for both teams. Houston right now has caught fire lately, and they're one of the most dangerous teams out there. The Chiefs, yeah, they've been struggling, man, and a lot of people are starting to get a little nervous about KC. Can they really do it? Can they get there? This is gonna be an interesting matchup. I'm gonna go with KC at home, but Anthony, realistically, I'm not convinced. Patrick Mahomes is playing amazing. He's definitely still the Patrick Mahomes of old, but it's the rest of the team that's been struggling. No real running game. Receiving core has been here and there, but what's really been their Achilles heel? Their defense. The defense of Kansas City had let them down time after time. And if there was ever a team that could catch them, dude, the Houston Texans are been red hot. Winners of 3 or 4 in a row. Anthony, this is a team you might not want to play. You want to play on postseason, even though I think Kansas City is at home. I would not be shocked if we see an upset and see the Texans knock off the Chiefs.
It's very possible. It's supposed to get as cold as sub 30 degrees in Kansas City on Sunday night. It will be the first time all season that Houston plays in cold weather. Coach DeMeco Ryan said the Texans' strategy for playing in the cold is not to focus on it too much. It's a mindset factor. The Texans under Ryans are 0-2 in Arrowhead Stadium, and both times the weather was sub 40 degrees. Kansas City needs to see immediate improvement in its pass rush production, as Steve Spagnuolo's unit has not recorded a sack in its last 11 quarters. Defensive tackle Chris Jones, the Chiefs' best pass rusher, said he understands he'll need to lead his teammates in getting the Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud. We've got a lot of talented guys in the room that can rush the passer, he said. We've got to win more as a unit. We've got to make sure we're executing all our blitzes, all our one-on-ones, close but no cigar. We need the cigar at this point. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is 5-1 in his career against the Texans, including the playoffs, and has won every game against them since losing his first game versus Houston, week 6 of 2019. The Chiefs and Texans rank among the top 5 teams with the most to gain or lose this week, according to ESPN Analytics. With a win, the Chiefs will have a 55% chance to make the playoffs. But with a loss, MF, listen to this. With a loss, it drops all the way down to 12%. The Texans would have a 78% chance to reach the playoffs with a win, but would fall down to 38% with a loss. The FPI goes with Kansas City, 65%. Solid FPI for Kansas City at 65% for the Chiefs. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one as well. Low scoring game. I think it's going to be 23-20. But I too have to give the edge to Kansas City because the game is in Arrowhead. If it was in Houston, I would definitely go with Houston. But with the game being in KC, you got to go with Kansas City. So 23-20, give me Kansas City. But do not be surprised if Houston steals one. Like I said, that defense is no joke. And if this team makes the playoffs, you do not want to see that defense. Oh, no. I don't care who you are. You go up against that defense, you're going to lose, and lose bad. Final game of the night, Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:15 on ESPN. I'm not sure if it's going to be simulcast on ABC, but it's on ESPN anyway. The number 2 game of the week on the other side of the ledger. The Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Monday Night Football, you know who's working that as always. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, Laura Rutledge. And Philadelphia opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. And the series history favors the Chargers, 8-5. Chargers winning the last meeting in 2021. They stole one in Philly in 21. A 27-24 final. The last meeting in Los Angeles was 2017. Philly won that one, 26-24. The Chargers last beat the Eagles at home when they were the San Diego Chargers in 2009. 31-23 was the final there. So, final game of the night, let's get to it. Philadelphia's run defense will be under the microscope after yielding 281 yards and a pair of touchdowns to Chicago. Biggest issues were one, they run the ball very well. I didn't do a good enough job of preparing our squad for the quality and the diversity of their run game. We didn't play the run and the blocks the way we had been playing. Those the words of Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. And now the Eagles will be dealing with the absence of standout defensive tackle Jalen Carter, who recently underwent a procedure on both of his shoulders and is considered week to week, per ESPN's Adam Schefter. It will fall to Moro Ojomu and Jordan Davis to pick up much of the slack. The Chargers, typically cautious with injury information, have been notably upbeat about quarterback Justin Herbert after his surgery to repair a left hand fracture on Monday. Herbert said he's preparing to play, and coach Jim Harbaugh said the same, adding that he's optimistic given their public tone and Herbert's history of playing through injuries, including fractured rib cartilage and multiple ankle sprains, only missing games in his career because of an index finger fracture in his throwing hand. The signs point to him starting Monday night. The Eagles have allowed 898 total yards over their last two games, their second most allowed over a two-game span, with coach Nick Sirianni behind weeks 12 to 13 of the 2023 season when they allowed 961 yards over a two-game stretch. The Eagles currently have a 90% chance to win the NFC East, according to ESPN Analytics. That jumps up all the way to 95% with a win and drops down to 83% with a loss, independent of other results. The Chargers have a 60% chance to make the playoffs per ESPN Analytics. Their chances jump to 74% with a win, but drops down to 50% with a loss, independent of other results. FPI in this instance, it's going with Philly. 59% going with Philadelphia. I'm going with Philadelphia to win this one. I'm going to go 28-20. Philadelphia defeats the Chargers on Monday night. So not much more to say. Take us home, MF. Eagles and Chargers. The number 2 game of the week on the other side.
Tough game, with the uncertainty of Justin Herbert, if he's going to play or not, because he did suffer an injury. The Philadelphia has really been struggling lately as well. We all remember the disaster that happened on Black Friday, and there's been a lot of hoopla about what's going on. Have they abandoned the run? What's with the team? There's still the drama with the wide receivers. And all of a sudden, now the Philadelphia Eagles, they're still holding the lead in the NFC East, thanks in large part to what happened with Dallas last night. However, the Eagles has got to ride the ship, and they got to get it. Like, this is not the time to be floundering and basically falling apart heading into the playoffs. You need to start to ratchet up. They got to start looking like the Eagles, and they're not. And I believe they'll win it. But again, another game that I'm not convinced about. Just like how with the Kansas City situation, I'm feeling the same way about the Eagles. I'm picking them because they're at home, but I'm not a
No,
1,000%
MF.
sure.
This game's in Los Angeles. It's at SoFi.
It's at SoFi. Well, I mean, I'm still gonna go with the Eagles. I still feel Philly's gonna win it. It's just, if Herbert was playing, I'd be a little more confident about taking the Chargers, but I think Philly will figure it out. So it's yours.
All right. And with that, that will put the bow on this week 14 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. All right, MF, what's on the docket for tomorrow night? I know we got Deadline. Are we covering TNA, SmackDown? What do we got on the docket for tomorrow night in addition to Deadline, if anything? All right. I know we have NXT Deadline tomorrow night. We'll see about covering that tomorrow night. Right around that 10:30 threshold. We'll see what the docket will be for tomorrow. I know Deadline for sure, but we'll see if there's anything else. Tuesday night, we do it all over again, Ridiculously Raw. Monday Night Raw. NXT Fallout from Deadline. Preview next Thursday night's football game with the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No show, obviously, on Thursday because college football is done for now. By the way, congratulations to Tulane. They just won the American Conference Championship. They defeated North Texas 34-21. And excuse me. And also congratulations to, I believe it was James Madison. Yes, it was James Madison. James Madison defeating Troy 31-14. So James Madison winning the Sun Belt. So the two favorites won, James Madison and Tulane. So we'll see how that plays out. So, of course, the big games tomorrow. Looking forward to that. So no show on Thursday, obviously. But we'll be back next week with the Week 15 edition of NFL Friday. Recap the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And oh my goodness, we got a smorgasbord of games, especially on our end. Listen to some of these matchups next week. Maybe Baltimore and Cincinnati, worth a look. I don't know. We'll see. Now this is where it gets good. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. Huge game in the AFC East. The Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. Possible Super Bowl preview right there. The Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. Another big one. And how about the Indianapolis Colts and the Seattle Seahawks? That's another goodie right there. And maybe even Miami and Pittsburgh could be worth a look next Monday night. So, well, we got a loaded, we got a smorgasbord on our end. I'll tell you that. We're gonna be feasting next week. Cannot wait. We have some great games this week. Cannot wait for the games next week. Especially those 4 big ones on our end. So, what a top 4 we got next week. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Braceway95. This is Anthony Florio here for good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock. And of course, always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 14 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.